Hello, Facebook friends. This is Shar Meekins here, and I'm an intellectual development nurse, and I provide practical instruction for caregivers, nurses, and agencies and families for the purpose of helping meet the complex and unique needs of individuals with disabilities. And I was thinking about today what I would want to share, and I guess the question has come up, why did I become a developmental disabilities nurse? So I went back to school when I was 49, and my youngest was a senior, and I had started taking my prerequisites for nursing, and I did a 2-year program. And so when I completed my program, my family and I moved, and I started looking for a nursing position as an RN, 2-year RN, and I was having difficulty finding a job because a lot of the hospitals had switched to a 4-year RN program. And so I went to work for an agency that cared for children that had developmental disabilities that stayed at home, and I could go and do a shift in their home. But then the opportunity came up to work for an agency of adult developmental disabilities, and as I interviewed for the position, which interestingly enough I hadn't even applied for, I'd gotten a call. And I went for the interview because I was looking for a full-time position with benefits. And hello Jill, thanks for joining me. So I went to the interview, and as we were discussing the position mental disability agency, they asked me why I wanted to be a DD nurse, and I laughed and I said I didn't know I wanted to be. And so they went on and said, well, what kind of experience have you had? And little did I know, it was like literally a movie camera of what do you call those? A trailer of a movie was just in front of my eyes. And it started out when I was a young girl, and I remembered a gentleman who was Down syndrome in our church, that attended our church, and he loved my dad. And I was young. I was probably 7 years old, but I remember how much he enjoyed my dad and was always happy to see him on Sundays. And then a dozen people came across my screen, and I started seeing all the individuals, neighbors, friends that had a sister with cerebral palsy. The list went on. It was like I could list a dozen people of developmental disabilities that I spent my time with, that Vern spent his time with, and our kids. And all of a sudden I realized that this wasn't the norm, that most people didn't have relationships, long-term relationships with individuals with disabilities. And so as I was sharing this with the director, he said, well, I think you've been prepared to be a DD nurse for many years. And it was like all of a sudden the Lord just kind of brought things together. And little did I know how much I would enjoy being a DD nurse, and how much I would enjoy the passion of taking care of individuals who need the support, who haven't been seen as a priority in our society, and learning so much about that entity in the last 20 years, and how laws have changed and how support has changed. So now I have to invest in them, and then also training their caregivers and training other DD nurses, because it's a unique position. It's not like going to the hospital and working a floor. It's, as you've seen on my Facebook page, I have a says, I'm a DD nurse and I work everywhere, because you are an advocate and you are going to appointments, you're going to the hospital, you are writing care plans, you are doing assessments, you are writing protocols, all for the purpose of supporting these individuals. So I just thought you guys might be interested in hearing how the story of becoming a DD nurse began, because I would be an outpatient surgical nurse, because when I was doing my last 6 months of nursing school, I loved the outpatient surgical room. And, but the Lord had different plans for me, obviously. So that's just a brief little comment on why I am a DD nurse. So you guys, thanks for joining me, and thank you, Rochelle, for your comments, and to see friends popping up on the screen. So we'll be visiting again soon. Thanks. Good night.